Estate Podcast. Welcome to Real Women Real Estate Podcast, episode 12. My name is Ebony.
My name is Courtney.
And I'm Kimberly.
And we are so excited for everyone to join us today. We have a very special guest. We have Mr. Mark Jones II. Say hi, Mark.
Hello, everyone.
So before I get into, who Mark is and what he does, let me tell you the quote of the day. This one is for the culture. It says, if you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving. And that's by Martin Luther King Jr. Isn't that powerful?
That's powerful. Yeah, give me chills. I got a little bit of a chill when you said that.
Same. Thank you, Courtney.
You're welcome.
So let's get back to this special guest. Okay, so I have to admit, I'm kind of, I really pushed to have this young man on. This is our second male guest. Mr. Mark Jones is a house hacker. So let me give you some information about him, okay? Mark Jones II is a real estate investor who is truly blazing a trail in his community. Growing up in Los Angeles, Mark was inspired by his father, who was a keen businessman and taught Mark the values of entrepreneurship and the power of real estate investing. After graduating from Howard, he began house hacking with a single-family home in LA County, which allowed him to live rent-free. Emboldened by his real estate journey, Mark started his brand Livin Rent-Free, where he teaches people how they too can live rent-free and forge a path towards generational wealth. So Mark, thank you so much for joining us. I'm super excited to hear your story.
I'm happy to be here, Ebony. Thank you for the great intro, by the way.
You're welcome. And also, just a quick shout out to HBCU. I think all of us are HBCU alum.
Whoop, whoop.
Whoop. Yeah. What did they say? The blacker the knowledge, the sweeter the college, or the blacker the college, the sweeter the knowledge.
Oh, wow.
Y'all ever heard that?
I have never heard that. I like it though.
No.
That's a good one.
Yes. So Mark, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? What gave you a passion for real estate and entrepreneurship?
I would say early on, the seed was planted by my father. Like I mentioned, he owned real estate in different parts of LA, and what's known now like near West Adams, on Jefferson in Los Angeles. And they call it like Black Beverly Hills. He had a property in Baldwin Hills before. But beyond just having a property, he used to discuss real estate with me when I was younger. So we talk about how it's passive and how you can get money every month, and how to like basically just put down a small down payment but control a larger asset. So that was like the intro of it. But what got me the most, what really inspired me, was the boom in like the early 2000s. We purchased a home in LA, near like the Grove and near LACMA Museum. It's a decent area. But in 1997, we purchased it for like 190,000. And by 2006, 2007, before the bubble popped, it was worth over $1 million. So
wow.
That blew my mind. Wow. I'm like, I've been living here for 10 years. Only thing we did was paint the walls, maybe cut the grass, and it's gone up to over $1 million.
Wow.
That's the power of real estate. So that sparked this passion in my mind, like, yo, I got to get into real estate.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's just a testament to, time and taking time and the power of ownership. So, so knowing that and seeing that in the background, like, what was your first step into real estate investing? What was your first step into like home ownership and real estate investing? How did you kind of find your niche?
I like to read a lot. So my first thing was doing research. I used to spend time in Barnes and Nobles and reading Real Estate Investing for Dummies, reading a bunch of books. And then I learned that if I could figure out a way to eliminate my largest expense, I could be enjoying life a lot more, living financially free. And I just coincidentally have been studying real estate, and I realized, wait a minute, there's this option. I don't know if house hacking was even popular, the name, but there's this option where I could get roommates or tenants and rent out the unit or the rooms and live for free. So I learned about depreciation, tax, tax benefits, equity appreciation, all of that. But beyond that, what got me was the rental income and being able to live rent free. So start off with studying books and concepts.
Okay. Okay. Now you threw out a term there when you were explaining that house hacking. Break that down, because I feel like people hear house hacking a lot. Maybe if they browse like Bigger Pockets or if they watch like HGTV once or twice. But like, what exactly is it, and how does that work?
House hacking, honestly, is the best way to break into real estate. House hacking is when you buy a single family, a duplex, or a triplex, or even a 4 unit. You either, if it's a single family, you live in one bedroom, ideally the master bedroom, and you rent out the other bedroom so that the rent covers your mortgage expenses, your taxes and your insurance, and even your reserves, meaning like savings in case there's an unexpected expense. And then alternatively, you could do it with the duplex, triplex, or 4 unit, where you live in one of the units, and then you rent out the other units. That's a little bit better sometimes for families. Like if they want to get a duplex, they live in one, they rent out the other one. And they call it house hacking just because you're hacking your house, where a lot of times the house is sometimes a liability because it's costing you money every month. You hack it so that it makes you money every month.
So that's
Okay.
kind of similar to the single family, how you're saying rent out a room.
Mhm.
For our East Coast people, because we lived in the East Coast, for instance, when we were potentially moving to Dallas, we rented out our basement. So
Right.
that's similar, but would never have thought, oh, that's a house hack. So that's good to know. But that's essentially the same thing. A lot of people will renovate and rent out their basement. And you'll see that a lot of times on HGTV too, because that's a lot of the homes, right? When they're house hacking, it's a basement, although basements aren't everywhere. So to think of it from that aspect that, oh, even if I don't have a basement to rent out, I have another room.
Right.
That makes a lot of sense.
So what's your preference? What's your preference in regards to, what type of house hacking you're going to do? I mean, like single family or multi-unit, like what's your preference? Because I'm going to tell you, I got like the idea sounds great to get into real estate, especially if I were in college. Like I wish I would have known about this if I were in college or
Mhm.
something like that. This would have been great to know, like, hey, mom, dad, let's do this and that, you know what I mean? Get a
Right.
house, and man, that would have been awesome. And then when I graduate,
did.
put the house in my name.
That's what
Give me the
Tierra's
house for
parents did,
Right.
right?
that's it. They did?
Yeah, that's what they did. We pay rent to them.
Wow, that
They
was so
bought
smart. They were ahead
our
of the
roommates
curve.
in college. I had two. It was two other roommates. One of the girls who had the master bedroom. Her parents
That's
bought
how
the
it
house.
happened.
Her parents bought the house, and we paid rent to them. Yep.
So that's a
So
really good
smart.
point. You guys are dropping jewels. I like the creative basement idea and I like the college idea. That's why I like to read a lot, because there's a quote saying like one idea can make you rich. One idea can change your life. So it's just an idea that you present to your parents. Hey, why don't we're going to be paying for, housing anyway. Why don't we make it profitable for us? And when maybe we could sell it after I graduate or put it in my name. Like Courtney said. So my preference, to answer your question, it really depends on what stage I am in my life. When I first started out, I graduated from Howard. I didn't mind sharing my living space with other young guys, and I had one female roommate too. But I didn't mind it. And sometimes you can make more money by renting out the room, especially if you can get a 5-bedroom house or 4-bedroom house, than you can with a duplex, triplex, or fourplex. So it just comes down to your personal preference and the money. So whichever one cash flows better, or sometimes your location, because I didn't have that many duplexes, triplexes, and fourplexes where I purchased. So that's why I went for the single family.
Why would a
Yeah.
room cost more? Why would somebody pay more for a room, but they wouldn't pay more for a duplex?
It's so interesting because what it is that by renting out the room, you have access to the entire house, right? So you're not just paying for the room, you're paying for the whole house. So now you get 4 people in a 5-bedroom house to pay for their room plus access to the amenities, the Wi-Fi, the kitchen, the living room, when their friends want to come over, when their girlfriend wants to come over, etc. Versus if it's just a duplex, they may pay, $1,500, but now you have people that are paying $700 each or $600 each, and it starts adding up quickly. So that's the difference. And it's kind of weird because it's counterintuitive. You don't think that you'll make more money until you start doing the numbers, and you're like, wait a minute, this could be more profitable.
Very true, and especially in DC, it's as
Oh,
expensive as
yeah.
duplexes are. Right. So yeah, as expensive as duplexes are, that it's probably harder to actually do it, especially if you're a college student, or someone that's investing to think of college students. They're like, okay, oh, this duplex sounds like a good idea, until you realize that college students aren't paying that price. So to get a single family home and rent out the rooms to the college students is probably more feasible, for that.
Mhm. It's true.
And I want to focus on the finances and the money of it, but I do have a question about logistics. So do people say, tonight the living room is mine, I have a date? Like, how does that work?
So it's kind of, so just thinking back to Kimberly's scenario, or maybe living in college, it was kind of like you guys kind of had an understanding, but it's going to be a little more strict since you're owning the property and people are paying you.
Right.
So you set up house rules, but you don't want to be a tyrant, because no one wants to live in that kind of scenario. So it's more so like clean up after yourself in the common spaces. If you're gonna have like a gathering, let us know. If you guys gonna be playing cards or drinking beer, let us know. But if you just have a girlfriend over that you met from Tinder for an hour in the living room, that's not really gonna bother anybody. Or I'm sorry, the reason I say girlfriend from Tinder, I had a engineer roommate, and he used to just meet people from Tinder like all the time, but he wouldn't disturb anyone. He would have her in there talking to her, meet her, then they would go to the movies or something like that afterwards. But I'm so sorry. Is that okay for me to say that?
No, that's fine. I went there.
That's real. That's real life.
I'm blushing, but you guys can't see it because I'm dark.
Man, that's crazy. So a quick question back to just like understanding house hacking. Like, so I'm kind of asking this question for my niece. She's 18 years old. She's graduating high school. And my advice to her is, girl, don't waste your money renting. Go buy a house and house hack it, right? So what would be your advice to somebody like that, who, let's say they're graduating and, they're looking into house hacking? What would be step one?
I would say education and communication. Those are like the two steps. The reason is education, she's going to be the lord of her land, right? She's going to have to understand about home warranties. She's going to have to learn about insurance, taxes. She's going to have to learn about the different interest rates, how to qualify for a loan. And all these things she could learn in a few hours reading a book, a real estate book. So start off, or watching YouTube videos, right? So start off with your education. And then somebody at that age, I say communication, because they need to communicate with their family about their aspirations and their dreams, so that they can garner support from those people, like their aunt or their mother or grandmother. The reason is, I have a lot of clients and followers from my page that ask me, they're young, and they're like, well, I need 2 years of work history before I can get a mortgage. If you have a co-signer, you can leverage their work history. But if you're going after a dream and you have no support, you haven't communicated it, then it's going to be more difficult for you. So those are the two things. Education is like very key, because one idea has saved me tens of thousands in negotiations, just all kind of things. So it's very key to get your information up, get your knowledge up.
That's great advice. And I heard you say clients. Do you teach people how to do this, like one-on-one? Are you like a house hacking coach?
House hacking coach. So I haven't got exactly to that level yet. I've done some one-on-one consultations. The thing is that it's very detailed and it takes a lot out of me. So now I'm shifting my focus to courses that give like very general and specific information, but not specific, like case by case individuals. I think I can serve more people that way. So that's my focus right now.
Mark, you're a house hacking coach.
That's a dope
yeah, I've
point,
seen
though.
your Instagram page.
Are cool.
We're going to say you're a house hacking coach.
I'm going to take the house hacking coach.
Yeah, and I'm already a fan of your social media, so it's already set up for that. So we're just going to go ahead and call you a house hacking coach.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So can you tell us, like, what are some of the drawbacks to house hacking that you experienced and how you overcame them?
So I often just talk about the positives, but it's some cons, right?
Yeah, keep it real.
Yeah,
yes, we need the realness. We need the negatives as well as the positives.
Keep it 100. You may get the downside is living with the tenants and living in the same quarters. If you screen correctly, the tenants will manage themselves. If you make it very difficult, the screening process, Once they're in, they'll manage themselves. But I let this girl get in. She was from Buffalo, New York, and she was the sweetest. It seemed like to be the sweetest blonde hair, blue eye engineer, but she was a hellraiser. She was like always loud, always drunk. She was dirty, and the other roommates were complaining. They're like, "We're cleaning up after." Like we thought, she would be different, but it's like, no, she's not. She's raising hell. So I think that's a downside. And then I think, you know, there's a brother I follow. His name's Todd. His name's Charles, but he has Todd Capital as a social media page.
Yes, we follow Todd as well.
He's dope. Yeah. So he said there's some boss problems. So some of the boss problems, he said, don't avoid boss problems, just figure them out, right? So another boss problem or a landlord problem is like you can't call the landlord, you become the landlord, right? So you have to be resourceful in getting things fixed. You have to set like operating hours or office hours. So people don't feel like just because they live with you, they could just have full access to you at all times. I cut it off after a certain amount of time. But like fixing toilets, plumbing issues, you have to have a system for that. Whether it's you manage somebody else to do it or you do some of the work yourself, this all falls on you or your team if you have a team as well. But it falls on you.
That's interesting. I didn't really think about that. So, because we talk about property management a lot here on our podcast and how important it is as a landlord. But I guess that's another level of it when you live with your tenants. Like,
quick caveat though, to add on, there's this young lady. What is her name? I forgot her name, but she's in Chicago and she house hacks. She has a beautiful triplex, but she pays for a property management company. And they take like 8% of the rent, and they don't even know that she's the owner. She just lives with them, and if there's any problems, that everybody calls the property manager. So that's an option too. I've just chosen to do it myself. So
that is another strategy. Yeah, to not tell them that you own.
Yep.
It only works though if you have a property manager, because if you don't tell them that you own it, but then they need help, and you're not around to help them, then they're like, "What's going on?" But if they have someone that they can answer, that they can ask questions to, then it's fine.
Like a third party. I can see that being a lot more feasible in like a duplex or a triplex when you're not actually in the same, house with them.
Right.
So I have one more quick question. It's a little bit off script, but when you, let's say, you found the property you want, you're in there, you got your tenants. How long do you actually have to live in the house, like house hacking? Like, what's the timeline here? Like, is this something you want to do for like 6 months, a year, 5 years? Like, how does that work?
So it depends on your goals. So if your goals are to buy another home, sell it, move out, it depends on like your goals and also the loan program you're underneath. So I advocate like low down payment or down payment assistance programs. So a couple of them, like to give examples, with FHA, you have to live there for 12 months or a year, right? With NACA, as long as there's another program, NACA, NACA program, they pay for like all the down payment, all the closing costs, but nothing comes for free, right? So you have to give up more. But one of the caveats is that as long as you have a NACA loan on the property, you have to reside in the property. So that could be 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, until you either sell it or refinance. For VA, for also FHA, you can refinance sooner, like in 12 months or 6 months, 8 months, and then you can move out. But in general, it's like a year for most programs. The more that they give you, the longer you have to stay, or sometimes you have to stay the entire time.
That's so cool that you know about NACA. I used to volunteer with them, and I was actually introduced to them through foreclosure prevention, because they're like beast when it comes to stopping foreclosures. So that's really cool that you know about them and you leverage them. So congratulations. I heard that program is not easy to go through.
No, it's not for the faint of heart. They make you jump through hoops, and the hoops are usually on fire when you're jumping through hoops.
Yeah, but it's no down payment. So cool. Go ahead, Kim.
Well, yeah.
In LA, I had to do it. If I was living somewhere else, I would have done FHA or something. But LA is crucial. It's expensive. So I was like,
really?
Do you only invest in LA?
Right now,
house hack in LA?
Yeah, right now I'm just investing in LA. I'm considering doing out of state. I'm not sure, but being an LA kid, I wanted to own here, and then
the market.
Yeah, I know the market. Yeah, so that helped a whole lot too. But yeah.
That's totally
Okay.
So question.
And then how many, oh, go ahead. I was just going to ask about how many properties did you have like right now, or were you just doing one house hack at a time,
Yeah,
or do you
so
have multiple homes right now?
I have 3 units, and so I have 2 buildings and 3 units. So one is
Okay.
one is a single family home, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, and it's like a standalone backyard, porch, fruit trees, all that. And then there's a duplex that has my unit, and then the other unit has like 3 bedrooms, 2 baths as well. So it's 3 units, but just two buildings right now.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What was your question, Kim?
So we've talked about it before on our podcast about being house poor, right? Tell me explain to us your version of house poor or rent poor and what that is, because because I think there's a definition and there's everybody else's definition, right? So explain to the people what being house poor or rent poor is.
And my definition, because like you said, Kim, there's like a hard definition. But my definition is when your rent or your mortgage bill eats up so much of your after tax income, your take home pay, that you can't live the life that you want to live. You can't send your children to the schools that you want them to go to. You can't take the vacations that you want. You can't buy the clothes that you want. You can't use the money that you've earned to live the life that you want to live. That's what rent poor or house poor means to me. But in general, that people say is when your mortgage payment or your rent payment is over a third of your income, your monthly income. Yes. Honestly, I'm advocating that most people should drastically reduce that or eliminate it by living rent free with house hacking. So because you can do so much more. It's like the possibilities, they're not limitless, but they're almost limitless, some of the things you could do. So
yeah. I'm curious about the actual deal. Like going back to Ebony's question, if I wanted to get started. But so when you go and look for a home, like how do you pick a property? Like if I want to get started in the Bay Area at house hacking, how would you approach getting started and selecting a home? Like do you go to Zillow, Redfin, and kind of just start?
So I'll use the example from my first house hack. There are some people I know in the Bay Area, like in Vallejo or Oakland, that have like done it. But I'll keep it like simple. So the first thing you need to do is educate yourself. The reason why I advocate for self-education is that you're not relying solely on the real estate agent. You're not relying solely on the mortgage lender. You're an educated buyer. So I've caught mistakes that my realtors were doing, and I came up with strategies that benefited me, which I'll share right now, because I was reading, because I was educating myself, right? So I think that's the first step. But the second thing is,
what did you catch?
So Brittany's like, what did you catch that I did not?
What did you catch?
so something important is like asking other people, do you know any realtors that are successful that have done a good job, right? It's kind of like recommending like a Yelp review for realtors. So you go to restaurants because people you trust like give reviews or whatever. So you get your realtor and you go shopping. You pick a neighborhood that you would feel comfortable living in, right? And that you think tenants will feel comfortable living in. But the analysis is very simple. Analysis is super simple. If you're doing a single family home, you take how many rooms there are, right? And you multiply that number by the projected rent. You easily find the projected rent by going on Facebook Marketplace, by going on roommates.com, Craigslist, and typing in your area how much the rooms are going for, right? You don't want to price it insanely more than that, too low. You just price it right at the market level. You multiply how many rooms you're going to be renting out by that number, and you make sure that number covers your PITI, the principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, and also a cash reserve. Depending on how old the building is, some people say 10% of the rent, total rents. So you tack that on, and you make sure that the numbers cover that. It's super simple. People are like, well, how do I analyze a property? It's like basic arithmetic. You add it up, and if it makes sense, then you go forward. So that's like a rough answer to your question. Oh, I didn't tell you what I caught from realtor. But anyway, that's
yes. No, I want to know. I want to know real quick.
there's a couple things, but one
Real quick.
yeah, real quick, a juicy. There's two juicy ones, but one that happened was I read that you should always ask the motivation of the seller, why the seller is selling. But people think that's taboo, and they're not going to tell you why they're selling. But most people are just average people. They'll tell you they're open. They're not like master negotiators or anything.
Absolutely.
So I found out that the family was really motivated to go from their home, and they had found the next home that they wanted. And so I realized, okay, I could probably leverage this. I didn't have the money for the closing costs. I only had the money for the down payment, right? The closing costs are additional like 3% of the housing price. So I said, the house is going for $169,000. I said, let's offer $3,000 more than they're asking, and then ask them to pay for the closing costs. And they're going to still get the amount that they wanted. But I learned that book that I read, nothing, no money down or nothing down in the 2000s by Robert Smith, I think his name is. But that was because I got the education. And my realtor said, that's not going to work. We can't ask for that. That's unprecedented, blah, blah, blah. But they did it. So you got to have your education.
Yeah.
Wow.
It didn't sound
well,
like
that realtor was a little special.
Yeah. I was gonna say that didn't sound like she had her education, because the flip house we're selling right now, the buyer is doing the exact same thing. They asked us to roll in the closing costs.
Exactly.
No problem.
Something simple.
Yeah. Yeah. That was just a special realtor.
See, Courtney would never do that. Courtney is a great realtor. She would never do that.
Oh, Courtney, you're a realtor.
It's always,
yes,
I am. That's why I wanted to know.
Wait.
That's why I was like, no.
I want to share another one there. That's even better. Can I share another one? Do I have time?
Yeah, no.
You're a realtor. Okay, so
you tread lightly. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, right? No, I'm gonna try and stick to now. No, I'm kidding. So there was another one where I told the agent to check. I was selling the house that I had the first house hack. I was selling it. So the buyer, he was pre-qualified, all that. I said, I want to see the credit report. I want you to see an actual live credit report. He said, no, according to the agent, it's a 7 whatever, or the 680, whatever it was. I said, we need to double, triple do, we need to check. He said, no, we got it.
Especially in these times.
So we get to closing. This man has delinquent. I'm talking, we've been 28 days in the escrow. This man has delinquent student loans on his credit report that his mother or some family member was going to pay off before closing so that he could close the deal. I said, if you had looked at the credit report, like I asked, we wouldn't. And so, of course, we fell out of escrow. I think I got only like $1,000 for my wasted time. $700.
You're lucky to get that.
I was lucky.
Because you usually have to go through arbitration. There's a process. They don't, just because they fall through, that's not a guarantee that you're going to get their deposit.
No, she's right about that, because that's rare. But they felt really bad, and they were bullshitting. They wasted our time, so they gave me $1,000 because of that. I was pissed. But yeah, so that's another example. You have to be educated.
You know, them student loans wasn't caught up while you out there shopping for a house. I'd be ashamed of yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Let's talk a little bit more about like your personal journey. I know that was a really juicy story you shared, but let's talk about like your real estate journey. Your career.
Ebony will get you back on track.
There we go.
I got you.
Thank you, Ebony.
I got you. So let's talk mindset, right? We're really big here about mindset, and I appreciate the fact that you said the first step is education. That's powerful. And something we're really big on is like mindset and reading to stay positive throughout your journey. So can you tell us how important mindset is to you in your journey and how it's helped you, be successful?
So I'm in school right now studying for my MBA at UCLA, but like only thing I read is my case studies and textbooks and self-help, mindset, action, motivation books. The reason is like, it's so important because our mental attitude a lot of time is the determining factor for our success. You look at different people who have the same resources, the same talents, more or less education, and what's the difference between this super successful woman and this woman who's not as successful with the same talents? a lot of times it's the mindset. So not even a lot of times, almost all the time it's the mindset. So I read a lot of books to stay motivated, stay positive, and I like to read biographies of successful people as well, because most people have gone through like insane trials and tribulations, and we think that because they're on that level, they didn't go through much. But a lot of people have gone through a lot to achieve what they've achieved.
Right. And they've pushed through. That is very, important what you just said. Like, you can look at two people and they have two different results, and the root cause is usually mindset. Like, that's crazy. I was just having a conversation with my friend earlier today about self-talk, and like, what are you telling yourself? What are you telling yourself about what you're going through? If your internal voice is saying you can't do something or something is too hard, you're going to believe that voice, versus somebody else who doesn't have even a tenth of the skill and talent and intelligence that you have is out there getting it done because they have a different mindset to you. So, and I'm talking to myself. I have to work on my self-talk too. So thank you for answering that question. Mm-hmm. So you dropped a little nugget. You kind of rolled over it, but I'm going to go back. I'm going to bring it up. You are, well, actually, you already said that you're an MBA candidate, okay? You have a lot on your plate, all right? You are an MBA candidate at UCLA. Congratulations. You're also a dietitian by profession. You're not a full-time real estate investor, right? You have a full-time job.
Yeah, right.
Right. So you've got things to do. What is your advice to people who feel like they're too busy to take action in real estate?
I would say budgeting time, but I read in a book, a motivational positive book or whatever that we were talking about, mindset book. They say that the early hours are the golden hours. I speak Spanish, right? But there was something there. I wasn't like born that way.
Oh, you're going to be a catch. They're going to try to come after you, Mark, after this.
Right.
Listeners,
Mark.
To our audience, Mark is single. I told him that I was going to put a plug out there. I was going to wait a little bit later and do it a little smooth. But ladies, don't play with yourself.
Exactly.
This man owns property. He's well read. He reads books. He owns property. He got a job. He got a degree.
Exactly.
A job.
Don't play with yourself. A job. Don't play with yourself. Okay, I'm done. I'm sorry. Back to your answer. Yes.
So something I did was I looked at my time and how I was spending it, and I said, okay, I can wake up 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour earlier, and I can study at the cafe in front of my job for like an hour in Spanish. And so I made that time, and I did that consistently for like 6 months before I went and learned Spanish. I went to another country. But the point is I did the same thing with my GRE, getting ready for the MBA. I do the same thing with my brand now that I have. I set aside a specific amount of time, whether it's on a Saturday in the afternoon, whether it's in the morning during the week, and I just execute. There's something called Deep Work too, that it's a book by, I can't remember the guy's name, but the concept is you work for an hour straight with no distractions whatsoever. So your phone's not on, your family members know, you're not checking emails. I used to listen to some music, but maybe not even music, and you just go all the way in, you go into Zen mode, and you'd be surprised how much you retain, how much information you retain when you're not as distracted. Also, how much information you cover in that time period when you're very focused. So that's what I would recommend, like cutting out distractions. And all you need is an hour, 45 minutes to an hour a day. You can make progress.
80-20 rule.
There you go.
80-20 rule. And that book is by Deep Work by Cal Newport. Newport,
yep. Deep Work.
Yeah, we'll put that in the show notes for you guys. Check it out.
Ladies, you missed that slick through. He was in another country, so he's also
right. I caught it. World travel.
He got a passport.
He's got a job.
These are keywords.
He got all his keys.
He knows 2 languages.
Right.
He got his hairline. Man,
yeah.
A whole catch out here.
Yo.
Man.
Exactly.
This is what happens.
You don't even have to be in the LA area because you could invest anywhere. You just pick it up right after the MBA.
This is what happens when you get on a podcast with all women.
Yes.
we shoot your shot for you.
Thank you.
Sure, we got you, Mark. We got you. Okay, so you just dropped a really good nugget with deep work. We are readers around here. We're bookworms. So
Well,
what books? Hold on. Kim, you know what? You gonna be a bookworm before this is over with, okay? You
don't
gotta
worry.
be
I like to read, but I am old school. I actually like to physically read, and both of them can listen to audiobooks, and I'm not there yet. And
Right.
I have 2 kids. We, talked about it before, but I
I'm
have
reading
a
too.
baby.
I'm reading a real book too.
See, she's
right
got
now.
time. She's got time.
Right.
I don't
These
have
are
that kind
facts.
of
I
time.
can I'll take up for you on that one, Kim. Except for the fact that you now if I ask you what happened on last week's episode of such and such, you don't know that.
No, because I'm probably behind because I usually am not caught up with my shows, and Law and Order is my itch, and I'm behind on that. So let's just throw that out there. I am behind on shows too. Anyway, go ahead.
we're working on getting her some like cliff notes for some good
audiobooks. I'm not there yet. I'm just not there.
Not even. Okay, so what books do you recommend? And they can be any books, just anything that has helped shape your life or shape your mindset.
Okay, so for two books that are like real estate and mindset mixed together, there's a book and personal finance too, actually. Set for Life by Scott Trench. He's the CEO of Bigger Pockets, but he wasn't always the CEO. He started off like an analyst, and he worked his way up. But that book is my number 2 personal finance book of all time. So that book is like it's like a modern classic. So then Black Folks Guide to Making Big Money in America by George Trower Subira. I recommend that one as well, big time.
That sounds good. I might read that.
Yeah, it's an old school book too. Classic. It was written in like the 80s. You said I might read that. It's no audio book. It's only a real paperback, paper and ink. So those are like the real estate personal finance books. But I'll say, how many books do I have here? I have a few for mindset. One of my top ones is Success Through a Positive Mental Attitude by W. Clarence Stone and Napoleon Hill.
Napoleon Hill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Napoleon Hill.
Okay, can I request a book? You mentioned earlier in the podcast about reading about biographies about famous people that inspire you. What's a biography that you read that inspired you? Oh, I caught you off guard. My bad.
No. I have a lot of. I'm trying to decide which one is a good one. I would say the one by John H. Johnson, the founder of Jet Magazine. He went through times. There's a lot of them, but that's one of them though. And I was gonna say, Success Through a Positive Mental Attitude, that and Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, and also the Black version, Think and Grow Rich by Dennis Kimbro. There's actually biographies intertwined
within that.
In there, yeah, they go over a lot, and especially Dennis Kimbro, a lot of Black women, a lot of Black men, their struggles, and that's actually how I found out about John H. Johnson's biography. I wanted to read it after I learned about his life inside of Think and Grow Rich: A Black Choice by Dennis Kimbro. So yeah.
I met Dennis Kimbro in college. He did a course for us at PV, and when I tell you, I left that and I just felt like I could take over the world. He was awesome. Awesome. Man, that was like 5 books, and I wrote them all down. But I want to say this, Mark. What impresses me about you, because I meet a lot of people who read a lot, but you can't tell, like their life doesn't reflect that they read. So it seems to me that you actually apply what you read. So that's awesome.
Oof,
application.
That's deep. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Another chill. I got another chill.
Yeah. Ladies, this man is the real deal. Y'all better snatch him up.
You did the plug before I could. I was just about to do it.
No, this man is the real deal. Y'all could be like, oh, I remember hearing him on the podcast when he was still single.
So can I say something really quickly? I think what you said was profound, Ebony. You're very profound, because what I realized, I was looking at myself in the mirror one day and looking at my life. I'm like, I'm reading all these books on success. I'm doing, you know what I mean? I'm supposedly a well-read, success-driven person, but my life is not reflecting it according to my opinion, what I wanted to see. So then I said, you know what? I have to start applying, like you said, the lessons that I'm learning from these books. Otherwise, I'm kind of hard on myself. I did martial arts growing up, and I believe in like discipline and stuff. So I'm like, otherwise you a chump. You just lying. You a buster. You acting like you with it, but you're really not with it. But then once you start applying it, you start making more money. You can travel. You can enjoy life at that level that they're doing in the book. So it's important.
That's awesome. And to be fair, there's always an area of improvement. I'm a firm believer in you're never going to reach this nirvana to where you know everything and you do everything perfect. But the fact that you can turn to a book and take that knowledge and apply it, like that speaks volumes. So.
What do you say always, Ebony, about being stuck in what's your term? When you're stuck in
analysis paralysis.
Yes.
Analysis paralysis. I was like, what? What do I say?
All the time you're stuck. So yeah,
I do say analysis. I am an analyzer. That's not a word, but I am. I like to read and I like to make plans. I like to draw things out. But now I'm moving towards action and application more. So that's my personal journey. But it's only in real estate, because anything else, you could put me in a room and I'll figure it out. I'm good. But for some reason with real estate, I've been in this industry for over 10 years and I'm just now getting to the point to where I'm ready to apply what I've, have experience with. So. Okay, Mark, we really appreciate you for, joining us. One last question.
Okay.
How can our listeners find you? Now's the time to plug away.
So you guys can find me on IG. My brand name is Livin Rent Free. It's like living rent free, but no G. So LIVIN rent free. IG. Also, I'm on LinkedIn too. So just if you want to do a professional connect. But all my brand stuff where I post daily, post videos, updates, make book recommendations, is gonna be on goodness gracious, they're cutting the grass. Sorry, you guys. But it's going to be on Livin Rent Free, my IG page.
Awesome.
That's what happens.
Well, thank you, Mark.
Wait, when you live and work in the same place, that's kind of what happens.
Right.
I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you coming on the show. It was really, really informative just talking to you, and refreshing. Mm-hmm. Really is. Young Black man just doing the things that you're doing is awesome. I applaud you, sir.
I appreciate you.
Yes. Thank you. All right, awesome. Y'all. That was episode 12 of Real Women Real Estate. Have a great day. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. So, Mark, is you recording?
Oh, it's fine.
I think we're still live on Facebook.
So, no, I was just saying, are you interested in investing in the Bay Area, kind of expanding? Because the taxes are so high in California. Mm-hmm. How do you get around with choosing a home and the taxes are so high?
I don't know. I look at it like there's so many positive trade-offs living here. With one of them is equity depreciation.
Yeah.
I bought near Inglewood, near the new stadium, and I've been seeing insane appreciation numbers. I'm probably gonna see hundreds of thousands of dollars of appreciation by the time I get ready to sell it. But you just try to buy smart if you can, but it's only in the old Oakland, you know what I mean? The dilapidated areas. That's where you can really make a return. But I may stay here though. I think I want to stay here and do more multifamily investing. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, if you ever
though. So
I'm in the Bay Area. It's insane. Yeah, it's insane prices out here, all over the Bay Area. It's just insane prices out here. Appreciation is crazy. San Francisco, most expensive place to live. We beat San Francisco. Silicon Valley tops.
You in Palo Alto?
I'm not in Palo Alto. I'm in San Jose. Right now I'm in Los Gatos. So Los Gatos area. It's Los Altos. So